Okay. Thanks, DJ. So, thanks again, everybody, for coming out tonight. This is an amazing turnout. What we're going to talk about is more the specifics of this trail. This is kind of a view of the general region. As you can see, the green line to the top left corner is, this area around here, Kinderhook. And this is, some of the trails that could connect in the future. These are, you can't really see it. It says abandoned rail beds. I don't know if you can get that down here. Anyway. So this is the kind of thing that we can envision long term, a really connected trail through that greenway system that DJ was talking about. But now, getting a little more specific, obviously you probably recognize that slide right there. You can see a few of the dots, they show it too well. And these are the two trails we're talking about. The left green trail is the National Grid right-of-way trail along the electric lines, and the blue trail is the Kinderhook Creek Trail running along to the right of that. So,
kind of tough to see. Can you point that out?
Oh, sure. Let me go back here. Okay. So, if everybody who can see, just point this out. This is the National Grid right-of-way trail here. It's about 5 miles long, and the Kinderhook Creek Trail, the blue trail over here. Wish I had my laser pointer, but I don't have that. So, like I said, power line paths have been around, obviously, since the advent of electricity. But more recently, groups have begun to recognize them for another purpose, a direct path to a multi-use trail. This particular path, the National Grid right-of-way trail, runs about 5 miles, beginning at the Chatham Street and ending at Rossman Road in the town of Stockport. This right-of-way section is generally flat and would be amenable to lots of different uses. So we want to talk about some of the highlights that we've seen along this trail as we've walked and kind of talked with townspeople along these areas. Okay. First one, beginning in Kinderhook, near the Rother Mill Lane, the village playground would be the northern terminus. There are 2 baseball fields, soccer fields, a restroom, picnic tables, barbecue grills, and a water fountain. The trail then connects to other streets central to the town, Gaffney Lane, Pin Oak, and Cortland Drive. Adjacent to the park is Samuscott Orchards. A trail along this path could potentially lead to a partnership with this farm and perhaps one day a farm stand, which would be a great business opportunity for the orchard farm. A third area worth mentioning along this trail is the farm past Gaffney Lane. This section we just think provides a nice scenic view. And the arrows up here you can see kind of points out that area, kind of goes along with it. Okay, the right-of-way path also follows right alongside the horse stables. This provides both a great point of interest for general trail users and would provide direct access for equestrian trail users. It's really one of the major hubs along the trail and connects to the right-of-way trail to the Kinderhook Creek. There is already an informational kiosk on the mills, parking, and benches for seating. The White Bridge and mills, which are also viewable from this trail, as you all know, are quite historical to this town. Dating back to the 1890s, they have great viewshed areas and could possibly serve as areas for restoration and tourism in future years. The area viewable from this slide, as DJ mentioned earlier, the 1901 power plant embodies modernization of the entire trail region and could serve as another historic destination along the trail. It was the first provider of power to the region, but also provided electricity to the railroads for many years. Presently, it is being rebuilt as a hydro plant which obtains power from the creek. This location, just east of Route 9, is another beautiful viewshed of the area you call home. It provides a view onto the creek and could also be a great resting place for trailgoers. Moving south from the power plant, there is another great view. The creek and the creek's scenic island is highly visible from this location. Can't quite see it in this picture, but trust me, it's there. Okay. A couple more here. This is a beautiful viewshed of the creek that is close to Rossman Road. At this level, the creek is very close. The trail is very close with the creek, and you can have many views such as this from that area. Okay, our last slide. Chittenden Falls is another major access point along the trail. Parking is plentiful, and there are also educational kiosks and trails that lead to the creek above and below the falls. Like any trails and its planning stages, though, there are a few areas of concern. The first type of concern is that of road crossings. There are two main challenges: high-speed traffic on Route 9 and the blind curve at Gaffney Lane. This curve, for example, makes it difficult for both a trail user and oncoming traffic to see around the corner. The second type of trail-related problem is that of washout. This slide, for example, depicts an area just east of Route 9 where riprap used on the path has washed out due to periodic rains. Another issue along the trail is that of ravines. This ravine, for example, occurred just north of Rossman Road, and as you can see by the scale, it's a pretty steep drop-off. The final type of issue is that of marshes, or areas that are prone to wetness. In this location, for example, drainage problems have led to the right-of-way path collapsing and filling with water. So certainly, the National Grid right-of-way path is a quite viable path for a multi-use type of trail. We've also spent some time looking at the feasibility of a trail along the eastern portion of the creek path, which you can see in that slide there. Okay. For decades, if not centuries, this creek has been an important source of food, water, and travel for those settling in this area. A multi-use path along this creek would bring that connection back to the people of this area. This section, as seen on the map, runs roughly 3 miles, beginning at Hudson Street and ending at Lindenwald Ave. The topography varies somewhat throughout the path, and in particular, there are areas that are prone to flooding. So it's important to build the trail above and away in certain sections. At the same time, there are certain views or certain areas along the creek trail that are scenic and have historic viewpoints and are worth mentioning. The first is the Albany Avenue location. This area has ample parking for trail goers to begin or end their trip and has nice views of the creek as well. The creek trail also provides a direct view onto the falls just above Lindenwald Ave. Certainly a photo opportunity for trail goers also. Another scenic location along the creek path is the Woodland Pine Grove area shown on this slide. This area would likely accommodate many types of trail users and place trail goers directly into the forest experience. I'm sure these two slides are familiar to everybody here. The Kinderhook Creek Trail would provide the much-needed linkage to connect Lindenwald to the village, to towns, and as well utilize the generous conservation easements that run along much of the creek. Also, the trail might someday connect to the Van Allen House, further reinforcing this trail's theme of local history. Similar to the right-of-way trail, though, there are a couple of types of issues related to creek paths that may be problematic. The first of these are ledges. These areas would need clear marking for any trail goer traveling at speeds higher than a walker's pace. Drainage is also an issue with creek paths. As seen here in this slide, water can often become blocked by fallen debris. So we've talked about a few of the design challenges when working on these paths. There's also additional issues as well. So as you can see on the slide here, certainly some of the issues that we're going to be looking at are funding, safety, maintenance, and land easement. Our feasibility study will continue to look at funding, maintenance, and safety, and we'll be unveiling those results in the meeting in December. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lauren, who's going to be talking about examples of great trails. Thank you.